during the pandemic, there's been, and this is quite a startling number actually, a 250% rise in people searching for psychic advice, whether it's for comfort after losing a loved one or answers about the future. More and more of us are looking into the possibility of turning to mediums. So we asked you at home whether or not you've ever turned to a psychic for comfort, and I've got our figures here. So yes is 33% and 63% say no. Coleen, have you ever thought about turning to a psychic, or have you done already?
I have in the past, but nothing's ever really come of it, you know. And it does intrigue me. And you know what? If it gives people comfort, then that's lovely. But my only thing against it is sometimes I think they prey on the vulnerable who are desperately looking for a message from a loved one that's passed away. And that makes me feel a bit uneasy because they're so vulnerable that anything you say to them, you know, my sister lost her husband and went to see a psychic, and everything the psychic was saying, she was trying to find the answer to. She was like, oh, yes, yes, yes. And I was thinking, no, that didn't happen. But she was just desperate. And that makes me uneasy.
Well, I mean, I went to see one when I was 21. Myself and my best friend from school, Geraldine, we went to see psychics as a birthday present for me, really, because I was interested in what perhaps were going to come later on in my life. I wouldn't say it's because I was vulnerable or anything like that. I was genuinely really, really curious. Can I remember what it is that he told me all these years later? I have kept the tape, though, and I did sort of say to myself that I would listen to it on my 40th birthday, and considering 40 was last year and I'm ignoring last year's birthday, I may listen to it this year. But one thing he did say, which I only remember today, actually, is that he said I'd have 2 kids early on. Well, I had them in my late 30s, so I wouldn't say that's early. But what he did say also is that I'd then have one later on in life.
Oh, that's nice.
So you never know. That we lose some other half will not be what he wants to hear in any shape or form. But what is it that you think about psychics? Would you see them?
Do you know what? I don't think I would see a psychic. I really like finding with. I feel like I like to protect my energy. I believe there's spirituality, and I definitely believe in like your intuition. I think that's something that I definitely have that vibe and that skill in the sense where, you know, I can meet someone and feel like, oh, you know, something about them, like their spirit don't take me, or...
Well, yeah, that's quite a West Indian saying, isn't it? My soul doesn't take to you. Yeah.
So it's like, I feel like I've got that, but I just really am about protecting my energy and not really delving into that kind of area, which some people might feel the same about, you know, certain religion or spirituality. But I think if it's something that brings you peace and peace of mind and calming and makes you, you know, value yourself, then fair enough. It's when it comes out of that remit and make you worried and scared, that's when I feel it's got an issue.
Because you've talked in the past, haven't you, about having premonitions?
Yeah, definitely. Yeah. I've had dreams about things, and then, you know, it's almost like the dreams is to warn me or make a decision on something, and I've gone with that and it's been fine. Or I've been places and it's like, you know, I've had a little flash, don't go there or don't do that, and it's worked out. So I think everybody has a little bit of, you know, spirituality or intuition or psychic.
Because I've got friends who are really intuitive in terms of the way that they look at life and what could potentially happen in the future, but it's not something that they would ever profit from,
right?
Because that element of it they do completely disagree with. And I know that Jane, you've spoken before about where you stand where psychics are concerned, and someone decided to take you up on that, didn't they?
Well, yes, I am a psychic cynic. Skeptic, let's put it that way. I do think that I believe in gut instinct sometimes. I do think there are people who are very good at reading people's behaviour. So if you look at Derren Brown, for example, his whole kind of thing, he can read, so he'll ask you something and he can tell by your facial expression when he said something that resonates. Very, very clever. So I think there are a lot of people out there that can do that, and when you're in pain from the loss of a loved one, and I totally get, by the way, if anybody wants to go and see a psychic and they get comfort from it, I'm absolutely fine with that. The problem I have is the industry. I think there's a lot of charlatans out there who exploit vulnerable people, and you know, so I've said before on this show, and I got asked by a TV company to do an experiment. They said, we've got this guy, he's this amazing psychic, he's going to completely change your mind. I felt really sorry for him by the end of it, because he did this whole thing about how, you know, my granddad was in the room. And I think it was not a big stretch to think that my granddad's dead, because I'm, you know, approaching 60. He went through and he said, "What's his name?" And I said, "Well, you tell me." If he's in the room, you tell me. Anyway, we never got to his name. Let me just say very quickly, the law in 2010, psychics must tell customers that what they offer is for entertainment only, and that for me
Well, we
says
don't
it
know
all.
if it's always entertainment, because when we was upstairs in the room and we started to talk about this, the lights went out.
The other end, though, where the sensors go.
Stop it.
That's all it is.
We like to think that we'd been visited by someone who was upset about what we were talking about. Anyway.